Welcome back to another Game Time Discussions. I'm Emery Cuzzy. I'm sitting here with Dustin Zimmerman, and today we're going to talk about the Week 4 college football recap and also looking towards Week 5. Found some oddities these last couple weeks just because of the fact that I don't think in the past we've really had these buys this early in the year.
This doesn't feel like it.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like we shouldn't. Week 3 have a bye where it makes a team that played in Week 0 with Georgia Tech and Louisville, who we talked about last week. They had 4 games already. Louisville's only played 2, and now they're playing each other.
Right.
Really weird situation.
Yeah, it's weird because it's hard to figure out what teams are going to do and who's real, who isn't. And of course, with the transfer portal being a thing, a lot of these teams are taking longer to get cohesive with one another. And we've got these early buys. For some, that's helpful, but for a lot of guys, they get better in the game than they do in practice.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So obviously, a very different dynamic, no matter how much simulation you try to do in practice settings.
Yeah, so I'll pull up the AP poll to start it off. That'll be kind of our staple on things that we're going to talk about first. Just kind of thinking about the AP poll, like not much has changed, but there were a couple teams that played other top 25 teams moving up and down. Tennessee played Oklahoma this last week and beat them. Oklahoma falls to 21 from 15. Nothing crazy. Oklahoma State plays Utah. And then I believe one more happened. Illinois, Nebraska.
That was a big one. Nebraska fell out of the poll because of that one.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. And then Northern Illinois also dropped out of the poll after they lost to Buffalo.
Because we were giving them
we definitely didn't overreact to the fluke of week 3.
So. Well, last week, and I will remind everybody, Dustin decided to tell everybody that his bold take of the week was Notre Dame still making the playoffs. Well, they lost to Northern Illinois. Northern Illinois, they're fine. They're nothing special though, and they're not going to win their conference most likely.
Right.
And we were just kind of like push them up. I actually appreciate the fact that we'll start at the bottom, I guess, of the AP polls today. But I'm glad that they put Boise State into the top 25 after their performance in a loss to Oregon.
Right.
Rather, Northern Illinois, of course, got in because of the fact that they beat Notre Dame, and it makes sense. Fine. And it's early in the year. There's only 3 games under your belt. Fine. Yeah. But Boise State actually deserves it. They have electrifying offense, capable of winning their conference pretty handedly and being a top 5 conference champion, which puts them directly into the playoffs.
Yeah, they had what was it? It's their first time back in the polls since 2020, but before that, it was like 10 straight years, 10, 15 years. I don't remember the exact number where they were in the poll every year.
Yes.
So, and for not being a big Power 5 school, what we know now as Power 5 school, is pretty hard to do.
Mm-hmm.
I guess with the blue field, anything's possible.
Absolutely.
And Ashton Genty.
Yeah, best. One of the best players in football. If we were to talk about Heisman races right now, he'd definitely be on it. He got pulled before halftime.
Yep.
And he had 127 yards or something crazy like that. So he is definitely a prospect spotlight guy that we will talk about later on in the year. Texas A&M coming back into the polls. They also lost to Notre Dame, but they are an SEC team.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit of a different story. Getting their quarterback figured out, which we'll talk about in a minute, is something that's important. But yeah, Kansas State is one of the biggest ones that we have to talk about. This game right here, BYU takes Kansas State and just puts them over their knee and just whips the shit out of them.
The whole game, I was like, all right, time for Avery Johnson, get it going. Kansas State's going to win this game by 2 touchdowns. Nope. Every time I look, it's like, oh no, it's returning a punt for a touchdown or bounce to the 1 yard line. It's like,
not pretty.
All right. BYU came out to play, I guess. I mean, they are 4-0 now, so.
Yeah, no, they're really solid, and there's some other teams that we've talked about in the past, like UCF and things like that are 4-0, and we're starting to get to a point where these teams are going to creep into the top 25. Michigan USC was a big game this week. I'm surprised by the fact that we can always talk about the fact that and we'll get to it, but the minimal passing yards. Missouri beats Vanderbilt in overtime. That was a big game.
Yeah. And that only happened because Vanderbilt missed their field goal.
Exactly.
They should have gone to another overtime.
Yep. And then everybody else in the top 10 other than Tennessee played basically nobody.
Yeah, warm-up games.
Yeah, it was a pretty simple week in my opinion for them. And we'll get to it right now, but there's some, and I'll pull the screen up, but there are some games that we will have to recap and then also look forward to. Alabama versus Georgia.
Yes.
That's going to be a game that we're going to have to talk about. But let's start by, let me change the share. Here's the new tab. Here's one of our games that we're recapping, and it has nothing to do with ULM. Not a thing to do with ULM.
Well, quick shout out to General Booty for the name, but
that's about it.
Outside of that,
42 whole yards.
Yeah, 8 for 19, a 6.5 single digit. Might be the first time we've seen a six.
He could have thrown the ball at the ground. Actually, both of them could have thrown the ball at the ground and had a better QBR every single play. Just snap, throw it at the ground.
Yep.
Spike it. The real guy we need to talk about is Arch Manning. He wasn't that good, and I don't mean that like he was playing ULM. This is the perfect way to put him in a game. This is the perfect thing for him. I've talked to people about this. It's like ULM versus Texas. Okay, well, play Arch and don't play Quinn, because if Quinn gets hurt against ULM, it'll look really dumb on your part.
Mm-hmm.
And then also get Arch that freshman fever game out of the way. He needed it, though. He needed it bad. So I know now that there's going to be a lot of people that were shouting Arch's name from the heavens, including like Cameron, and that also is in our podcast. He believes in Arch over Quinn.
Right.
Arch is not ready to play against Oklahoma and Georgia in a couple weeks.
Not yet.
So I think that's a big thing. I think that this was a great game for him, though.
Yeah, I'm glad they did it. Let him go out there, let him make some mistakes. But, I mean, even after that, he came right back down, scored 2 touchdowns. He had no problem after that.
Yeah, he threw the interception in the first drive. Yep. 15 of 29 is not very good, though.
No.
You know, but QBR is fine.
No.
That's where you want to be. That's about average on, like, you know, high level average.
Right.
So I don't hit, like, I'm not gonna take him down. He did not run, which I thought was interesting. He never got outside the pocket.
Could be a scheme thing, though, with your QB1 already hurt.
Fair enough.
Don't really want to take that risk when you're playing the Warhawks.
Hey, man, sometimes the number on this game was, I want to say it was 49.5 when I had looked at it.
The spread? Last I saw was 44.5.
Oh, it came down. Okay.
Yes.
Well, when I saw it at 49.5, I was like, well, I'm probably not betting either side. 44.5, I might have said Texas could do that.
Anything over 40, you just never know what the fourth quarter is going to hold.
Right.
Who's actually going to touch the field.
Arch played the whole game. So,
which was also surprising.
Yeah. But yeah, so we had to talk about Arch. That's really obviously the only reason we're in this tab. Going to the next game, though, this is the game we were talking about a little bit earlier. I took, I decided in our Discord. If you haven't gotten to our Discord, please go get in there and hang out with us. But one of my takes was we need to probably take all the unders for passing yards for every player, or receiving yards for every player.
Yeah.
And that was right. That was absolutely right. Alex Orji, 32 passing yards in the whole game. He is not built to throw the ball, but it does not matter. Does not matter.
He can run. He can manage a game. But yeah, I'm interested to see what teams do moving forward after just essentially accepting, that's all we're going to do.
We are going to run the ball.
We're going to run it. Because, I mean, even with the 12 throws, he had 32 yards. They didn't exactly throw the deep ball to try to trick the defense.
No.
It was still short passes and run. That's it.
Miller Moss threw the ball 51 times, though, which is a lot. 283 yards, 3 touchdowns, but his QBR was actually pretty low. That has a lot to do with the fact that he was just the D end number 0 for them, Stewart. That dude absolutely took over this game. Watching him play, I was like, okay, I don't even know who this guy is, and I need to.
Yeah.
He went straight into the prospect list after this game.
Make a name for yourself, young man.
Yes, absolutely. Woody Marks played well, 13 for 100, had that 65-yard run, which was cool. But truly, I just felt like the Trojans could never get it going, you know?
Nope.
I do want to talk about something that's actually very interesting. Khalil Mullings is taking over the backfield for Michigan. I keep telling everybody, Donovan Edwards isn't good at football. He's not that good at football. Without his 41-yard run, you know, he has a total of 33 yards
on 13
rushes, basically nothing. He averaged, and we actually tweeted this earlier on X, is he averages like 4.8 yards a rush while Mullings has 8.1 yards a rush and over 100 and something yards. I actually have it right here. I should just use my resources. But he's been really, really good. And he is a senior, and they have about the same amount of rushing attempts 50 for Donovan Edwards, 53 for Mullings, 429 yards on the year for Mullings, and a whopping, let's see, where is it? 224 yards for Edwards.
Less than half.
It's basically just right now. I'm like, this is the guy I want to get as much of in Mullings. He's more explosive and things like that, and Donovan Edwards is still not that guy. The crazy part is Mullings is actually 6'2", 230. He's bigger. He's bigger than him,
That's
and he's
wild
moving like that. So, yeah, he's a pretty cool prospect that really I don't think anybody's talking about right now. And I think we need to.
Yeah, I was surprised at that too.
Jumping over to the Tennessee-Oklahoma game. Nico is him still.
Yeah, Nico balled out.
Yeah, he just didn't turn over the ball. He just kind of did his thing. Dylan Sampson is really good at football.
He is.
Yeah,
He's torching the defense all game.
What is your take on the fact that I did hear that Michael Hawkins Jr. is now the starter for this next week?
Jackson Arnold's QBR is 1.3.
Well, yes, so in one game,
it's 1.3.
Fair enough.
I mean, that's pretty much it. Watching the game, he just didn't look like he had an answer, at all. Almost dumbfounded.
The prior weeks, though, he has had the answer.
Oh, he wasn't playing at Tennessee.
No, I agree. I agree. Tulane's good, though.
Oh, yeah, no, don't get me wrong. It's not like he was playing nobody. But, I mean, moving forward, for them to immediately say Hawkins is going to be our QB for the next game, which is really surprising.
True freshman.
Yeah.
You know what?
Recently, everyone's like, we're doing the whole game time decision thing.
Yeah. The more I'm talking about this, the more I think of Spencer Rattler or Caleb Williams.
Yeah.
Like, that's what this feels like. True freshman coming in, playing over, I believe Jackson Arnold was a 5-star, just taking his spot, being the better player, basically. Like, that's what this feels like. This feels like, we have a Caleb Williams 2.0 going on here.
Yeah.
I like Jackson Arnold, but I don't know that I think he is prolific in any way. So I think that this might make more sense. They have good receivers. Like, that's the thing. I don't even know where their receivers are. Deion Burks is rushing the ball because they have to get him the ball, basically. Yeah. He needs the ball as much as possible. 4 for 32, not enough. And then Nick Anderson isn't on here. I wonder, did he play? He might have missed. I'll let you pull it because I don't really know, actually. I would expect him to be right here, so. But yeah, both of those guys are, draft picks.
He was in street clothes. He subbed out on a third down and entered the locker room without trainers. So, and he had missed a few games already. So it looks like he probably wasn't.
Yeah, I knew he was out prior, but I didn't know he came out in this game.
Yeah, during the game, he got ruled out in the middle of the game.
I see. Okay, that makes sense then. But he needs to be on the field for them to be good. Tennessee, on the other hand, Brew McCoy, Squirrel White, those two guys are studs.
Brew McCoy still being in the NCAA is still a funny thing to me.
Yeah, I get it.
They're a different team.
How old is this man? He's got to be 23, 24, right?
I mean, he has to be 24.
24 years old. Yeah, so he is better because of age, I guess.
Helps.
Yeah, for sure.
Learned 3 different systems.
Yeah.
So one of them twice.
Fair enough.
So,
but yeah, so Tennessee kind of just put a butt whooping on Oklahoma. This score doesn't actually tell the whole story because, as you can tell, it was at 12 points in the fourth. I mean, they basically just beat them post to post the whole game.
Yeah, I mean, Tennessee's defense didn't surprise me. They're really high on the scoring defense and all the metrics for it. And then seeing them the last few years, they're very good on defense. I was surprised they only got 25 too, though.
Yeah.
With Nico, I was expecting more scoring,
but
out of both teams, but especially Tennessee.
Yeah, funny enough though, I actually think Oklahoma has a okay defense. I do like Danny Stutzman.
Who doesn't like
do
Danny
like
Stutzman?
Billy Bowman Jr. They've got some players over there, but I agree completely. Going over to the next game, I'll let you take this one because it is your team.
Yeah, It was what I feared it would be.
Mm.
After Bowling Green almost beat Penn State, ended up losing by 7 to them. We went up, drove down the first possession, thought, wow, we're doing really good. Marcel Reed is looking really good. And he did. He did not make many mistakes, as many as I expected him to.
He's pretty good.
Um, my commentary is more on Bowling Green stepped up. They look. I mean, their two losses are by a combined 13 points to Penn State and A&M, both on the road.
It's pretty solid. Yeah.
Yeah,
Getting paid a lot of money to go lose.
yeah.
Harold Fannin Jr. is a
He
guy we have to talk about.
torched the A&M defense
He has been
multiple times.
He has been absolutely insane this year. He is going to be one of, look at this guy. I mean, he's just a freak athlete.
He's already from Canton. So.
Yeah, he's perfect for the NFL draft, and he will be one of the guys coming out of a smaller school that we will talk about whenever we get a chance. I've already got him on the prospect list, looking at all his numbers and stuff, because he is a stud.
He has to be on there.
Oh yeah. Marcel Reed versus next week. We're going to talk about it a little bit, but Texas A&M, they're going into who do they play next week? I'm sorry, I'm blanking.
Rivalry game.
Oh, that's correct.
Southwest
We'll
Classic.
talk about that in a minute then.
Yep.
Like let me wait on that.
That one for the next part.
Perfect. Yeah. Then let's go to the Mississippi State versus Florida game. We're going to run through this one very quickly. I think we just need to take a quick jab at it. Graham Mertz absolutely looked amazing. Graham Mertz is actually good at football.
In true sicko mode, Napier still took him out.
Oh, absolutely. Why wouldn't he?
Right.
But why wouldn't
he? It was fantastic.
And look at this, 7 for 7 from Lagway. Don't get me wrong. Both of them have, solid QBRs, but no one touched Graham Mertz this week in a QBR.
No, he actually, 19 for 21. He looked really good and confident out there.
Blake Shapen gets taken out also after a 21.6 QBR on the other side.
Coming from Baylor.
Yeah. So. And he's actually not bad, or he hasn't been bad in the past. But when you play Florida, who has been so bad this year, you really don't want to let 26 of 28 to the receivers. Like that's just a recipe for, that's not good, man.
Yeah.
Looking at some of their guys, I mean, look how many different guys touched the ball from like the receiving standpoint. That's just
they were spreading it out. I mean, they were able to, though.
Yeah.
I don't know how much of the game you caught, but
I watched a little bit.
There was very little resistance. I sat through it. I enjoyed.
Tough. Proud of you.
But I'm even surprised on the other side. I mean, Florida gave up more points than Toledo did.
Yeah.
To Mississippi State.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'm not surprised. That's actually exactly what I expected. But
with Toledo, yeah.
Toledo
just kicked the crap out of them, though.
Yeah.
The week before. I do want to now switch over to something that we haven't really done, but this is going to be our picks recap, our super dogs, our shorts, everything that we did before. Here's the first one. I know we did a short even on this for Nick Nash. Well, guess what? Nick Nash is him. This game was at plus 13.5 when we recorded. I got it at plus 14.5, which even better. And they lost by 2 in double overtime.
Yeah.
Which was a really fun game to watch at, I don't know, 11:30, 12 o'clock at night, basically.
Pac-12 after dark will never die.
No, it was awesome. And Nick Nash went for 16 for 152 and 2 touchdowns. He's just him. Justin Lockhart's actually good too. He came from, I remember his name from a bigger school, but this whole group, like, they're good. They're really good. John Mateer is their best running back and quarterback for the Washington State Cougars. He had 390 passing and then 111 rushing. That's just insanity.
Yeah.
They don't play defense at San Jose State, but that's why this game was going to be so good. They scored 106 points. Like, can't beat that.
That's Pac-12 after dark. That's just how that goes.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's the most points on the week, even knowing James Madison. No. James Madison, North Carolina was the most points on the week. 120.
Yes.
70-50. That was crazy, too. I was watching that game. That was insane. But in this game, we called it. That's our first pick. We got right. And then the next one, I'm going to let you do these two because these are your picks and they were beautiful.
Yeah, these were the big, because we talk about picks and stuff. And if you are on the Discord, we throw a lot of the ones we're confident or like out there. But these are the ones we released as shorts just to show the ones we were most confident in. This is why I was very confident in this one.
Cincinnati -3.5 to start this game.
Yep. And the whole time they just dominated. Houston came out about as flat as I expected them to. People overreacted to their close losses, and those games were close because the other teams left their foot off the gas, though. It wasn't
Yeah.
because Houston was clawing back or anything.
Look at this. Win probability to start the game, like 60. And at the beginning of like the third quarter, it's 99.9.
I mean, you can see in the second quarter they were basically at what 90-95%.
Yeah.
It wasn't exactly.
Oh, they were just beating the
Yeah.
brakes off of them. So we got that. Dustin got that one right. That was an awesome pick. And then we got the money line or spread pick on SMU. 66-42. That's 108 points. I mean, we're just gonna put up a whole bunch of points this week.
Yep.
Josh Hoover's good, but SMU's better. They just went out there and handled their business. The Horned Frogs can't stop anybody. They run their 3-3 stack, and they still suck at it, and it does not matter. One of the worst defenses in football right now, if you ask me.
And we had a coach ejection. I don't know if you saw, but
I did not see
Sonny
that.
Dykes got thrown out.
Did he really?
Yeah, because TCU had a long kickoff return for a touchdown, and there was a hold, or they called a hold on it.
I got
And Sonny Dykes got back-to-back personal foul, unsportsmanlike conduct for it.
Wow.
Went the old NBA route, get a tech, get another one because you keep yelling.
Yeah.
And then you got escorted off the field.
Jeez. Well, I'll tell you what. If you're getting beat that bad, it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
My opinion on it was a fire up my team and hope this can do something because we're down by a lot.
I am with that, though. A couple other picks that we aren't going to talk about, but in NFL, we hit every single pick on Prize Picks and Underdog. Basically, on the whole weekend, we were 9 for 10. The only pick that missed was Dustin Superdog in Georgia Tech. They missed by 2 points, but still, like, we were 9 for 10. If you just follow our picks and hit each one of them, you're going to be very happy at the end of the week. So get in our Discord if you're missing them. We also got Tennessee at -6.5. There you go. Another one that we were like, they're going to dominate, and they did. So if you want to cash some money, come hang out with us in our Discord. I'm going to share the next group of games. This is going to be our games of the week coming up. We have to talk about this game. This game is very, very important.
Well, you know where I stand on it.
I think that ACC football is bad.
It is.
And
good thing Notre Dame's not in the ACC.
Right. Well, I think if they were in the ACC, and I actually had a conversation because someone texted me after your clip released of Notre Dame winning going to the playoffs. Yeah. And they were like, Notre Dame's not going to make the playoffs. And I was like, have you seen their schedule? And second off, like, if they were in the ACC, they'd actually have a better chance of making the playoffs, in my personal opinion, because they would win. They would win the ACC.
Yep.
They're the best team that would be playing in the ACC right now, and it's going to show up on Saturday. I'm definitely on the side that, if I had to make a pick on the spread, which I will not be playing, I'm taking the -6 though. -6.5 to Notre Dame.
I would have to agree with that.
I just think they're better. I think Louisville at this point hasn't really. I know they played Georgia Tech, but Georgia Tech guys, they played Florida State, got a ton of hype, and then Florida State is now 1-3. Let's not over exaggerate anything.
Yeah, they also lost to Syracuse, who just blew one against Illinois at home that many were expecting them to win by 1 to 2 touchdowns.
Yep. The only blemish and problem was, of course, Notre Dame played Northern Illinois and lost. Well, we know that, that is probably a fluke after they go and beat Purdue the next week 66-7. They beat a good A&M team who has a solid defensive line for sure.
On the road again. Like, they're winning tough games.
Yeah. They aren't good at home. I don't know what to say about that.
Oh, they did win 28-3. I don't think they're too worried about it.
Right. But yeah, so I think that if I had to pick a side, I'm going Notre Dame, but I think this is a very big game because ACC football is really bad right now, and that would put, there's not very many teams in the top 25 there from the ACC.
I don't get the Louisville hype. They're doing good. I don't see them top 15 already good.
Well, they were 19 to start the year, so I
didn't agree with that either, though.
Fair enough.
We'll see, though.
This will be the weekend to know.
Yeah. Yeah, this is one of those make or break weeks for them. So.
Yep. Let me move this one up. All right, let's go to Oklahoma State versus Kansas State. Oklahoma State and Kansas State lose this week. which made it very interesting because, of course, Kansas State gets blown out.
Right.
Utah goes in and wins by 3. I actually have the Kansas State Wildcats bouncing back and winning this game. I think that's where I would sit.
I
They're
like
also
Avery Johnson a lot.
They're also -5.5. I didn't even look over there yet.
With the ESPN actually likes Oklahoma State over them too.
That's weird. It's very weird how this matchup is set up because Oklahoma State projected to win the matchup more often, while Kansas State's a -5.5 favorite. I just like Avery Johnson and DJ Giddens.
Mm-hmm.
Both of those guys are studs. I have him in a season-long prize picks pick, and he's already 3/4 of the way there, I feel like, on his rushing yards. I just think that this team is better than they showed last week, especially after going and smacking the hell out of Arizona, who's good. I'm gonna side with the Wildcats in this situation.
I would probably take them to win. I don't know that I'd be confident enough to take their spread at 5.5.
No, I'm with that. That's actually surprising.
Yeah. I have a feeling that line's going to move a little bit.
I was expecting Oklahoma State to be the favorite there.
Yeah, I bet the line moves. So I'd be one to watch out for, though.
Y'all ready? It's time. Let's talk about the big one. I wonder how the public, I know that this is a number and they moved already down a little bit, and I'm sure the public is like, well, do y'all remember when they barely beat Kentucky? And I'm like, it's ACC football, kind of a rivalry game. Never know what's going to happen in a rivalry game.
SEC.
SEC football. Yeah, give me another ACC.
You're about to get some haters from Georgia and Bama fans. They do not like any other conference.
I can understand, especially if I call it, like, if I said
especially the ACC.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if I was going to say Big Ten, they'd be like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. Kentucky's good though, and that's the thing that you're not good at football, but like good in that situation, right?
That's quite the way to put that.
Yeah, well, you know what I mean.
Well,
though? Against a team where they're a rivalry, and like they actually have some players. Like it's not like Kentucky's bad everywhere; they're just good in one spot, 2 spots.
I saw a thing and it was like, if Kentucky could score 17 points, they'd be 3-0 in their last 3 games against Georgia. It was something like that. Like they're always within 16-3 or 13-12.
Right.
Like weird scores like that.
Well, if we take this Kentucky game off of the board, these two teams are pretty evenly matched. 63-0, 42-16, 42-10, 34-3, and 48-3. The best win on this whole board is Clemson. Georgia has the best win.
That's necessarily close. I think that's
quite
obviously the best one.
No, yeah, it's not close at all.
And don't forget that USF one for Bama was a 1-score game.
Yeah.
Either at the end of the third quarter or going into the fourth.
Into the third, yeah. So close game there, but I'm actually going to side with the Bulldogs all day long. They're just the better team, even knowing.
Did you see that ESPN matchup predictor?
ESPN doesn't know what they're talking about right now.
I just wonder what metrics led to it being that big.
That's crazy.
Of a difference.
Like, I guess maybe they're just like, Jalen Milroe cannot be tackled in the backfield. He doesn't get sacked. I don't know. Right? I mean, you're gonna side with the freshman over here, maybe. I don't know. That's an intense number for a game that's at basically even.
And it'll probably be a money line game. It should be by the time kickoff comes around.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think it should be too. Because the game is truly very close. I don't know. Which side are you on here?
I think I have to side with the Bulldogs. I can't pick against them. It's been however many years now since they lost a regular season game.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty fair choice.
I think it's very hard to say, nope, Georgia's not winning this one. I think it'll be really close, though.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those games where I couldn't tell you, though, if it's going to heavily hit the over and they're both going to go crazy on offense, or the exact opposite. And it's going to be like the old Alabama LSU games where they have 9-6.
I'm going to take the under. What is the number? 48.5. Yeah, shoot, that's actually not as high.
So that implied is 25-23 or whatever. So
that's not as high as I was thinking.
No.
I would probably say that's a pretty solid number, and I would not touch it.
I mean, I'm not betting on that game.
But I could see a game that's 20-17.
Yeah, absolutely.
All day long.
I could unfortunately also see 35-31, though.
Right.
So
for sure. The next game, though, we're going to talk about is going to be our rivalry report. There's only one rivalry we're talking about this week. It is going to be A&M and the Arkansas Razorbacks.
Yep.
It's an old school rivalry.
Yep. Southwest Classic.
I haven't seen it. Shoot, how long has it been since they played?
Well, we've played every year for the last 8 years or
sorry,
whatever.
sorry.
It
No,
started
that's
again
right.
after
That
we went to the
restarted.
SEC.
My
Yeah.
bad.
But before that, yes, very old rivalry.
Yeah.
Last year in JR World, they're going to a home and home moving forward.
Good.
Yeah,
I think that's better.
Most fans wanted that.
I mean, yeah, no
It's
one
more
wants to
fun.
travel.
Mm-mm.
They want to be able to walk out their back door of their apartment and walk to the stadium.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes so much more sense to me.
Yeah.
Looking at some of this stuff though, like Arkansas is pretty good. I know that, we got the projector and stuff and whatnot, but we also have the issue of who the quarterback is for the Texas A&M Aggies. What do you expect?
I don't know. Like I said, I think we mentioned it last week, but Elko has come out and said the rest of the season is game time decision,
Which is so dumb to
which
me.
I think is probably more of a psychological thing.
Yeah.
He's trying to do the whole Napier thing, except doing it properly. Not where Napier has one guy do good and say, "All right, you're on the bench now."
You're actually going to play both guys.
Yeah. And I mean, Wegman hasn't dressed still, so he wasn't dressed for last game.
Has he
stayed in
practiced? Do you know?
He was practicing, and MRIs were good, showing progress. But I couldn't tell you right now who's going to start. I think if it were me, I'm letting Reed go out there, even if Wig's healthy, just at least to start the game because he's the hot hand right now.
Fair enough.
I think it's really hard to pull away from that, especially going to a rivalry game.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like Wegman has done anything that is like, oh, I'm glad that we put him back in. He hasn't played in the last 2 weeks. Both of those games have been won. So yeah, I kind of agree with the fact that you should probably stay with the guy who has gotten you there. For -4 is where we started, -3.5 right now.
Yep.
I think those are fair odds.
I think it stays
game.
around there.
I personally think Texas A&M wins by 13 points. So
I would love that.
I think that's the side I kind of lean towards. I do think that Arkansas is good, but I don't think that they're able to play with a team like Texas A&M.
Yeah, I mean, I really like Taylon Green. I'll probably bring him up once he's a little bit more introduced and getting more consistent and whatnot. But his ability to be dual threat, he's really good. He's a Dallas kid, Louisville specifically. Junior, he's 6'6", but runs. I don't know what his 40 time is, but he's fast.
He's very fast.
He was outrunning the Oklahoma State defense like it was nothing back in week 2.
Yeah, I mean, but I need more than 4 interceptions for 4 touchdowns this year. And I think that, the reason that A&M is good at football is because of their defense. They stay in games because of those guys. And if we're going to talk about a guy that, turns the ball over and has to play, I think if they get behind and he has to throw the ball, which is what I expect them to kind of get behind and have to throw the ball.
I'm thinking so.
I'm taking the A&M defense over his arm.
Yeah, and I mean, that's what's really torched us this year, at least recently, has been a lot of people pointed out the crossing route specifically. That's how we gave up both touchdowns to Florida. We gave up one to Fannin Jr., and it's Fannin Jr. So as I watched the game, I realized why he was able to pull it off. So
because he's good.
I think we neutralized the run, but I mean, Jaquindon Jackson's a really good running back, though.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be a good game, a good rivalry. We'll see how it goes.
I normally side with the underdog in rivalry games, and today I'm not, which is a little worrisome. So I will probably not bet the game because a rivalry game I never really bet unless I'm taking the dog. So we'll stay away from that one, but I'm projecting around 13-point win. It just feels right. It just feels right.
I mean, I could certainly see it happening. I could also see it being the normal Arkansas A&M and it go down to the wire.
Right. Fair enough. The next thing we're going to do is bring back our super dogs. Like we said, last week I was, on San Jose State, got that one right. Almost won the game. These are teams, when we do super dogs, we're talking about teams that we think could win the game as big underdogs.
Yep.
And my first one, and I don't know why they're such big underdogs, is the Illinois Fighting Illini. -17.5. Guys, I know that Penn State is good at football. Don't get me wrong. I don't believe in their coaching staff at all.
Wow, not a James Franklin train.
Absolutely, I have never been because the man does not know how to win in big games.
Heard some rumors that Florida might be trying to give him an
He
offer.
can have it. Um, yeah, so I'm more on the side that like games, and also of course we talked about it. There's Bowling Green again, the
They're a
close
good
game.
team.
West Virginia, gets kind of rocked because
Yeah.
of the defense. It's all about the defense when it comes to Penn State.
Oh yeah.
I actually think that Altmaier's good. I think that they're
Yeah.
Illinois has two super good receivers, and Pat Bryant and I'm gonna blank. I'm sorry, I just put him in here. Oh shoot! Don't get mad at me. Zakiri Franklin. Both of those guys are really solid. Zakiri Franklin and Pat Bryant have combined for over 550. They're at 552 receiving yards, 6 touchdowns between the two of them, basically 140 yards a game.
Yeah.
They're really good at football.
Yep.
Those two guys. I think that we're kind of over pushing this Penn State team, and every year we do that, and then they just find a way to not do it. And I'm ready for
Yeah.
it to be Illinois.
Yep. They're not even doing their whiteout this game. So
Oh yeah,
their big whiteout
yeah.
annual game. Well, you and I were talking about this, and yeah, I was flipping between Illinois and the one I ended up going with. I really like this Illinois plus 17.5.
It's pretty crazy to think that there's 17 and a half dogs. Like that's like trying to say 18 points, of course. I mean, that's
right.
We're talking about 2 touchdowns and a field goal are good for Illinois.
And I mean, it just doesn't seem like this game will be like that. I mean, there's always the chance they're down by 7 going into the fourth, and then they just air it out trying to catch up and
right
have some turnovers and whatnot. But
another thing, in my opinion, is like Nebraska and Kansas are the best teams out of the 7 that have been played. Nebraska made it in the top 25 after beating Colorado, smoking Colorado, basically.
Yeah.
Kansas has some of the most electrifying players in college football, in Devin Neal and Jalen Daniels. So it's like their defense is good. They have a good quarterback, which is normally the biggest problem with these teams. I do like Drew Ayler. Don't get me wrong. Like, I do like him a lot, but he is not asked to do the things I need him to be asked to do. Nick Singleton's good. And Katron, oh my gosh, the other running back, Katron.
We talked about him last week.
Yeah, we did. And I can't, why am I slipping up on names today? Katron, where are you? Oh, he's not on my list. He should be. I'll put him in there. That's my bad. But yeah,
Katron Allen.
Allen. Okay,
that's what it was.
I knew it.
I thought it was something like that.
But yeah, with those two guys, like, yeah, they're good. Don't get me wrong. Tyler Warren, very good. But 17 and a half good? I don't know.
Yeah.
Athletes everywhere for Penn State. That's why they love them. They've got athletes in the secondary, their linebacking core, but give me Illinois. Give me Illinois here. And then Dustin, what you got?
I'm taking South Alabama. I love what their offense is doing right now. They're 21% predicted, which is surprisingly actually better than what Illinois just was. Theirs was like 16 or 12 or something just now. So, but they've scored a combined, what's that math work out to? 135 points in the last 2 games. And one of those is App State on the road, which everyone knows App State is a decent group of 5 team. LSU, I just don't trust Brian Kelly. I don't like Brian Kelly as a coach, though, in general. So I wouldn't be surprised if this becomes an absolute shootout. Whatever the total is, probably take the over on that, too.
65 and a half. That's not even crazy to me, especially when you have Garrett Nussmeier in a game and you've got Gio Lopez in a game. Like,
we talked about Nussmeier last week.
Yeah.
The guy can air it out.
Already has 13 touchdowns this year. Like, yeah, he's a guy that you're like, okay, well, let's get behind certain players. Well, I'm a big Garrett Nussmeier fan this year, and he is chunking the ball around. Let me see what the tops are. So 14 touchdowns by Cam Ward is number 1. Garrett Nussmeier has 13. There you go. He's top 2.
Oh yeah.
On the year. Gio ranked, he has 9, which is top 20 basically. So it's shootout incoming right here for this game. I think that, kind of looking at this first, how this worked out, like teams will be down, but look at this. Like they lose 2 games, still score 58 points, reasonable.
Yeah.
But come back from that, and just absolutely wallop a team in Northwestern State who actually they ended the game early. It was a 12-minute. They
I
made it a
saw that.
6-minute quarter in the
Yeah,
fourth because they're getting beat so bad.
I saw that,
I
which
just
was crazy. But
doesn't matter who it is. Like that is not okay to beat someone like that.
yeah, did you know Major Applewhite is South Alabama's coach?
I did not know
Yeah,
that.
so they've got some really good. I mean, they've got a staff of Major Applewhite's your head coach.
Right? Yeah, for sure.
So
But yeah, so I think that that's a super interesting game, and I think I'm on board with the fact that it's at least not going to be 21.
I don't
21
think
is
so.
huge.
And like we said with Super Dogs, these are teams we think could pull off the upset at that. And I could 100% see South Alabama just running LSU off the field with their scoring power.
We'll see. I mean, I really like Gio Lopez, but and I didn't say this before, but the best player for LSU's defense and Harold Perkins
Oh yeah,
tore his
towards
ACL,
ACL.
which
Yeah.
will definitely hurt his draft
Yeah,
situation.
he's really fun to watch. That was pretty bad news.
He's a very explosive guy.
Yeah.
I'm sad for him because now I think he has to probably come back or he'll lose a lot of money.
Oh yeah.
So I'm definitely on the train that he comes back, but it's definitely unfortunate because he was top 3 linebackers in this whole class.
Oh yeah.
The last thing we're gonna do though is last week Dustin gave a hot take. He said Notre Dame will still make the playoffs. I'm gonna let him do another hot take before I give my. I'll hold my hot take till next week. I think. I'm gonna let Dustin knock this one out of the park. There's just not very many teams in this conference.
Yeah, I kind of realized after I looked at it, it's the ACC, but I'm thinking Clemson wins it.
Yeah.
I don't care that we've had the Cade Klubnik slander throughout the beginning of the year, not more recently, but to start it against Georgia. I keep telling people they're Georgia. You need to accept that Georgia's still Georgia. They're going to steamroll teams, and very few people get their team ready like Kirby Smart does.
Right.
Every game, they're just more prepared. That's just how it is. Like we talked about with the schedule, or with the conference making their schedule a lot easier. I just don't see a team that's going to outpace Clemson. The one interesting one would be Louisville at this point, from what we've seen, but I'm also still not confident in them, and I still think they lose to Notre Dame.
Not Miami?
Miami's going to be interesting. I like Cam Ward. I think Cam Ward's really fun and makes really cool highlights and is a really good player. Don't get me wrong. I don't think Miami as a team is going to win the conference, and I still don't trust their coach.
Okay. No, I completely agree.
He refuses to kneel the ball.
I want to tell you the odds so that we can kind of get an idea. Clemson is currently plus 280 to win the ACC. Miami is plus 125. I think that Miami, I would never bet Miami even.
No.
That is crazy. I would bet SMU at plus 2,500 before that.
Yep.
Or Boston College at plus 2,500. Louisville's plus 500 basically.
Yeah.
So I definitely agree with this. If you're going to take a team based on odds and have the best projections, it's definitely Clemson.
Yep.
Let's look at their schedule and go through it just to see if we think there's a loss that they're going to have, because I don't really see one. And that was a big reason why I was completely on board with this pick is like they beat Stanford. I like Stanford. They're 17-point favorites against Stanford.
I was against Ashton Daniels, who I misspoke earlier. Stanford is who beat Syracuse.
Right.
This past week. I said Illinois. I meant Stanford.
So Stanford has some good players. Alec Iomenor.
Probably the catch of the year. If
right now.
See it.
Yeah. Odell. He made an Odell catch. If you haven't seen it, go watch it.
Toe tapping, one-handed catch.
He was already
over a guy.
He was already on our prospect list, and now he just kind of secured himself as a top 15 wide receiver minimum.
Yeah.
So he's a good player. They have some good players. Florida State, we suck.
Hey, you won a game.
We did because
Cal.
Yeah, and I would have bet Florida State winning that game. Why would anybody bet against Florida State after they're 0-3?
Yep.
Now it's like the time you're like, well, they're gonna win sooner or later. They can't win. They can't lose them all. They are still Florida State.
It's gonna happen eventually.
Yeah,
you got one. I would not expect that result against Clemson.
No.
Even though it's DJU's return.
No, it does not matter. Wake Forest. I think that's an easy game.
Yep.
Virginia, an easy game in my opinion. Louisville at home.
I think them
So
being at
it's at
home.
home.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm worried as much about that game. Virginia Tech, look at this. Just everybody just kind of look at all these teams and be like, okay, there's one ranked team and it's Louisville.
Yep.
And we are gonna project them to lose this week, and we are thinking they're overhyped. Everybody else is unranked. The
Yeah.
best team they play is the one team not in the ACC. It's South Carolina.
Yeah. And that honestly is going to depend on Sellers' health.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
How bad his injury is.
If Lenore Sellers is playing, it makes it a very interesting, fun game.
Very different. And it being a rivalry game always throws a wrench in it.
Oh yeah.
But outside of that, I think Clemson wins the ACC.
They're gonna run this schedule.
Oh, and the South Carolina game won't even affect.
No, it won't. Exactly.
That's the other reason.
So they'll go to, and they don't play Miami. So if they get to play Miami, it'll be in the finals.
Right.
And so your plus 280 is really good at that point because you could take the plus 125 for a team that's now in the finals, or plus 280 for a team that's been there and done it over and over and over.
Yeah.
I would just take that plus 280 and run away with it, basically.
Yep.
So I'm definitely on that side of it. Let me see. I was going to check the board I have all the conference ranks here for the ACC schools. Other teams that are undefeated in the ACC are Pittsburgh and Duke. None of them are playing Clemson. No. Miami, on the other hand.
Oh, Pittsburgh is November 16th.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, the big Pittsburgh.
So Miami, on the other hand, though, has a much more difficult schedule based on who they're playing in the ACC. SMU isn't on this list. It was really good.
Yeah.
North Carolina isn't on this list. They're 3-1. They just put up 50, even knowing they got beat.
With their third different starting QB of the year.
California's not on this list, and they've already beat NC State. I just think that it's basically going to be one of those things where they beat the crap out of everybody, and then they just get to the championship, and you're like, okay, well, now they just have to win one game.
Right.
We talked about this with Texas State. I was excited about them, obviously. But this is obviously not the same caliber. When I said Texas State could make the playoffs, it was like, oh yeah, well, Texas State has an opportunity because of how their schedule is, and if they get through Arizona State. With Clemson, they've done it before.
Yeah,
it's not like it's going to be surprising in any way.
Yeah. Had you said it before the Georgia game, people would be like, okay, yeah, they probably are going to win the ACC.
Right.
But after getting stomped by Georgia, they've had a lot of hate against them.
Well, 34-3 doesn't look good, but it was the number one team in the nation.
Let's see how Georgia does against Alabama, and then revisit how that first game went.
For sure. Do you have anything else you want to talk about on this nice college football recap, and looking forward to week 5 for sure?
Yeah, I think it's just going to be really exciting. We're starting to get past some of these early bye weeks, and we're going to Georgia and Bama both had a bye last week, I believe. I mean, they're preparing for this one, so I get it.
Right.
But it's going to be good getting past all these early recruiting bye weeks and starting to see how things really start to shape out, and not so much of this like Northern Illinois entering the top 25 just to follow it immediately. We're going to start getting some consistency and see who our top 12 are.
Right. I mean, if I go back, I'm going to go back to the AP poll real quick just to kind of look at the teams. I mean, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams in the top 6 from the SEC.
Yeah.
If we're going to talk about dominance, I mean, it's this year, right?
And you still got Missouri, LSU through the teens. A&M's at 24. Oklahoma is still on there. They're in the SEC now.
So when I said they were like at the beginning of the year, I wish I would have got this actually on one of our recaps because we didn't do it week 0 and week 1, right? One of the things that I talked about was the teams that I thought were frauds. And the teams that I thought were frauds were Missouri, Notre Dame. And then there was one more. Oh, it was in the top 10. They already lost, I believe. Who was it?
Was it Michigan?
Oh yeah, Michigan, because they didn't have a quarterback.
Yep.
So I was like, those 3 teams, I don't see them even making the playoffs.
Yeah.
And as you can see, they've all dropped. Penn State was another team that I said, but it's more so like watching them because they have all the athletes all over the field. But yeah, so like you look at this top 6 and you're like, holy crap. Like those guys are all SEC teams. And then you get an ACC team, which is not going to stay. Miami will fall. Not gonna stay. Big Ten team in Oregon. Big Ten, that's the only other thing. There's Big Ten and SEC, and that's all we've got.
Oregon being in the Big Ten just sounded so interesting when you said it just now. It's like Big Ten. Oh, that's
gross, right?
The entire conference move.
Even knowing they're going to play at 9:00 this week against UCLA. And it's going to be Pac-12 after dark.
You can't get away from the Pac-12 after dark. I'm trying to tell you.
It's going to be
It
Pac-12
lives on forever.
Boise State and a bunch of other teams are going to the Pac-12 now, which is cool though. So we'll get Pac-12 back.
Apparently, I think the Pac-12 sued the Mountain West today. Yeah, for poaching teams.
No, the other way.
Was it?
The Mountain West sued the Pac-12 today.
Did they?
It would have been the other way around because the teams that got poached were Mountain West teams. All the Mountain West teams are going to the Pac-12.
Pac-12 filed the lawsuit against the Mountain West Conference over poaching penalty.
That is so backwards.
Yeah.
What?
I don't know.
All right. Well, I can't explain that one to anybody.
It was very interesting. I saw I got multiple headlines like this team moved, this team moved. I was like, cool. And then it was like, there's a lawsuit now.
Oh my goodness.
What? This all just came out like an hour ago.
That's crazy. Well, let me stop the share. Let me get this out of the way. But yeah, we appreciate y'all hanging out with us. We got some new shirts in. If you hadn't noticed, I completely forget because I'm sharing something and I'm not able to see it. The hat. We're slowly getting things done. We're gonna get a new neon light that's gonna go up in here. So we have something on the background. It's not just this black wall.
Nope.
But we appreciate y'all hanging out with us, and hopefully y'all can go, of course, like, comment, subscribe on this video. And especially if y'all want us to talk about something that's coming up this next week between week 5 and week 6, let us know. We would love to talk about stuff that y'all want to see. And then also get in our Discord.
Yep.
Go hang out with us because we have been winning a lot. We have a full winnings page. And this week we did a community college football prize picks.
Yep.
6-pick. It hit. All of it hit. And it was 17.2x.
I'll say, I don't know the payout. Is it 17?
17.2x. So I put $10 on it and I made $170, which was awesome.
There you go.
And you could have done that too if you were just, in there hanging out with us.
Or use the spread picks like we did. We talked about those. We added a couple. Talked about the ones on the shorts.
Yeah. If you would have been in on Dustin's thread picks and got 2 picks, I think it's like 100. It's 250. I think plus 250 if you do 2 even picks or something crazy like that. So.
And then we threw the Tennessee one in on the Discord only.
Of course.
So.
Yeah,
that one was awesome.
Yeah, add that. There's a bunch of NFL picks that we're going to, and we've gotten right. Of course, we're doing DraftKings, Underdog, Prize Picks, all of that stuff. We're going to be doing Thursday Night Football. We're going to be doing the main, all of it. Yep. So come hang out with us. Sunday morning live streams with me and Cameron. If y'all have got a chance, we go from 8:30 to about 11:30 every week. So if you get a chance, come hang out with us in that too. So.
Hope y'all are having as much fun as we are on here.
Oh yeah, we are putting out a lot of content. So I'm excited. It's been a lot of fun. First year doing all this, and hopefully we get better and improve everything. The room, the all the stuff that's in behind the scenes, and then our football academy videos that me and Dustin do are a lot of fun too.
Yeah, absolutely.
We appreciate y'all hanging out with us, and we'll see y'all next time.
Thank y'all very much.